Welcome to the right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Write or Die Show. I'm your host, Randi-lee. On the show, we interview other writers and we talk about mental health from their personal journeys. If you have not already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead, do that now so that you never miss an episode.
Hi, everybody. Um, Welcome to another episode. So exciting. With us today, we have Pat Black. Oh, you just told me how to say it. Hold on. Gould?
Gould.
No.
You got it.
Gould.
You got it.
Oh, I did get it. Okay, I was like, you literally just told me, like literally a minute ago.
No,
Um,
this
just
happens with everybody. Not a problem.
yeah, right out my brain. But tell us a little bit about who Pat is.
I think it's a mix of things. I'm an author, psychologist, and with a background in theater, and
Oh,
as a director and producer and playwright. So all of that merges
oh,
together, and
love that.
so I think that's about it. I'm happily married with a cat mom and a son. So
Oh, more about that.
yeah. hmm So yeah, that's all a bit a whole bunch of things, I guess for me.
Yep. Well, I mean, I find that is the hardest question someone can ever ask because the, people are just so much. And it's how do you
Yeah,
pick and choose the little bits of things? Yeah. It's the hardest question ever.
I think it really is. It's a mix too because is it a professional answer? Is it a person? Is it a personal answer? And so it can get, I think, really confusing at times. It's like, well, where do I go from? And there's this and there's that and there's, and if you had a whole bunch of things that are
Right?
in your background, where are you? It's sort of like writing that bio. It's almost
Yes.
impossible to do. I
Oh
would
my
rather write a
gosh.
book than a bio, truthfully.
Yes, I totally agree. I've like written and rewritten my bio so many times because I'm like, there's so many things, but now it's too long and
hmm hmm Exactly, exactly.
um, yeah, so take us back in your story, wherever you want to start, and I'll just randomly interject.
Okay. Yeah, I actually write about this in my book too. Where I grew up was in the Jersey area, right across the street from New York. So it was a wonderful little small community and close, very close knit. And it was, when I look back at it now, just a really special time. We're going back to the 50s, where life had just a very different feel. It was,
Yeah.
society was just sort of more morals were very different. We were pre-women's movement. We were pre-civil rights, but I can't say pre-civil rights. But I mean, it was there, but it wasn't out. Everything weren't out there as much, and it was just growing up at a time I want to almost say of innocence back then. And then as the 60s blossomed, we moved into a world that was full of color, full of just sort of surprise, and maybe we could move ahead and our lives could change. And for women, for me, I struggled. I didn't know what my role was. I didn't know what I was going to become, what I wanted to do. I didn't have a purpose, a career idea at all. Um, it just, I was horrible in school. So I took a long time really trying to find my place, I think, uh, where I fit. It was, I'm from a blue collar family, so my mom's dream, she worked in a factory and my father was a fireman, and my mom's dream for me was to move to the white collar, which was to become a secretary. That was like the highest thing
Oh,
you could be. There was never the thoughts of going to college back then because, according to my mother, if a girl went to college to meet a man and get married, and then they'd have to quit college anyway, so and then settle down and have kids. That didn't fit for me. So it was a long time figuring out where my world was and who I was and where my voice was in the world. And I didn't become a secretary because my stenography wasn't good enough back then. I became a typist, and found myself in the world of theater because I was so close to New York, and
Yes.
interacted with a lot of what was going on in the theater world. And it was like I woke up. I woke up to meeting a variety of different people and different voices. And at that time, I was finding for my voice as well. And so it took a long time. So I finally just as the heck with it, I'm going to college and got my degree in theater. And then moved on through the theater world for quite a long time in New York, and then through Summer Stock Theater and Murder Mystery Dinner Theater. But
Oh, I
theater
love
can
murder
not always pay
mystery.
the rent. Yeah. Oh, I did. We traveled all over New England. I had a company, and we traveled all over New England, and I wrote
Really?
the
Oh,
plays as well as
I love
produced
murder
them.
mystery stuff.
Do you too? Yeah, it was so much fun to do, and it was so much fun to write, and we had fun doing that. But it's hard, doesn't pay the bills always. So it's I decided to move into a career that would be. I was like, what's a career that's similar to theater but that I can really get paid? So
And
what
what'd
was
you
I
come
think?
up with?
Well, I figured theater's about exploring the internal life of people because you're a character and you explore who you are on the inside. So what's the close to exploring what makes people tick? Psychology.
Yeah. It's
It just
so
seemed to
funny
make
you
sense
say
at the time.
that. When I was little, I was going to be a famous actor. I love all things theater. Actually, we're going to Toronto this weekend to see the Beetlejuice musical. Love all things
Oh,
theater.
cool.
And psychology is so interesting to me because they do go together.
They do. They really do. And then when you add writing to it, you have,
Yes.
isn't that what character development is? Aren't you really trying to figure
Mm-hmm.
out what motivates a character to do something? What moves a novel, what moves a story along? So they
Yeah.
all sort of fell in place somehow, which is fascinating. I didn't even realize it, I don't think, until it all started clicking for me.
I fully agree. And in fact, I had never thought about it before. You had just said it right now. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah. There is something to I think to be said for that. And as a matter of fact, I'm slowly been as I'm when I look about how theater and psychology influenced who I am as a writer. Um, started developing just some classes to teach on when I work with writers and find a way to help them develop their skills and their creativity. You might not have a theater background, but you can learn some techniques how to improvise. And through psychology, there's ways of building a character arc. So I've been playing around with that and looking at creating classes and everything. And that's the way I work when I'm usually in critique groups. So when I'm critiquing other people, I use both those backgrounds and the
Yes.
questions that I formulate and the suggestions I might have. So it somehow
Hmm.
it all went together, and I would have never expected that.
Perfect. I love that. Um, okay, so on your questions, you had written that you've experienced anxiety and depression. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I think anxiety came very early on. I don't know a time when I don't think I didn't have it. And it sounds kind of silly, but this goes way back to when I was about 4 years old or so. And at that time, we were in the 1950s, and the polio epidemic was really strong back then.
Oh,
And
yes.
my mother told me that my mother told me if I pet cats, I would get polio. It sounds kind of crazy.
Oh
And I used to
my
love to take in stray
gosh.
cats. I love to take in stray cats. I mean, she wasn't trying to hurt me. She was obviously, wasn't trying to scare me or anything, but she knew that I loved to take in stray cats. So I remember I was four. I was four. And I would wake up every morning because I always found myself stray cats that I would like feed on the side and get food out to. And are my legs working? Are my legs working? And I know even that was the start, I think, of just realizing, oh my goodness, I've got to watch this, I've got to watch that. But with anxiety, it's it really runs in my family too. Both my parents, my aunts. I think the majority of my aunts have it. My son, and it's a matter of really learning. I think when I became a psychologist and studying it too, how to manage it, how to take care of that part that always kind of goes fatalistic first and then has to step back. It's that part that I have to look at that sort of worst case scenario and pull myself back at it and make it manageable too. It's not like what happens and how can I cope with it and not go to the extreme. That's what I work with my clients too. All right, let's take this, let's look at this step by step. How do you deal with these emotions? Because they can really lead you all over the place. And
Yeah.
I don't see necessarily getting rid of the emotions. I think it's more of just control and balance and checks on yourself.
Yeah, because if we get rid of emotions, I mean, we're not really people anymore. But
Exactly.
emotions aren't something you can get rid of, but managing, that's the key.
Right. I think that's what throws people off a lot too. I don't want to have this. You know what? You kind of got it. So you really, and it sounds crazy, but I'm high energy, and I think in some ways the creative side comes out with that high energy. Not to the extent of bipolar, which brings it to another level, and entirely. And I feel for that because that's very difficult. But that high energy and the anxiety in a way tap into each other at times and sort of can set off some of that creativity. I think I'd still have it if I wasn't anxious, but the anxiety probably, and which is kind of crazy, but it probably helps me complete tasks. It doesn't distract me from completing them. And I think for a lot of people, anxiety could inhibit the ability to move forward.
Yeah.
It does the opposite for me. It will it will annoy me until I get the task or the book or the whatever completed.
Oh my
Strange how
goodness.
it works.
Right? I stayed up so late last night watching TV. So I keep yawning and I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right.
Oh
That's
my
quite all
gosh.
right. I'm a night owl too.
Um,
So,
well, I'm not usually, and that's the problem. I was like, oh, I'm off
oh,
work tomorrow, and the new Squid Game season's out. I'll just watch one episode. But of course, that
oh,
show,
okay.
one episode runs into the next episode, runs it like,
Into
and
the
I'm like, oh.
yes.
So,
Yeah, I can understand that.
yeah, so then, midnight rolls around, and I go, I'm usually in bed by 9.
Oh,
So, yeah, I'm a little bit sleepy, but I am digging our interview, so I apologize for all the yawning.
oh no, that's not a problem at all.
Um, what have you found has been a really effective tool for you to use when it comes to managing the anxiety, especially when you were younger?
I don't remember when I was younger, because you're alone. You're in your own head. People are not talking about mental health, and heck, back in those days, it means
Oh, exactly.
nothing. I I think it could have probably interfered more back then, because it would make me so nervous in class that it was very hard to focus. And we had nuns back then, heavy duty nuns, and if you were not behaving or not
They
answering a
smack you with the
question, it's
ruler.
like you are in. Oh yeah, we got the ruler. Yeah. So I think it made it difficult for me to get through school, because I was so worried, I'm going to fail this, I'm not going to pass that. So I think it had a negative impact until I got older. Um, and because I came from a family with anxiety, I didn't see any role modeling to bring it down. In fact, that I would remember my mom and my grandmother. We were a three-generational family, and my aunts in the house, and everybody getting anxious, and the anxiety when they were talking, it's just so that heightened talking, and it would like just elevate more. So
Yeah.
it didn't, they would work through things, but it would be like an outrageously fierce pace and fast,
Yeah.
and just and the anxiety would build. So I only knew how to go up with the anxiety.
Yes,
I
I
didn't
feel
know
you
how
on
to
that.
pull down.
My mom was always very high strung. She still is, but I've done therapy myself, so I've been able to, come back down from that. But yeah, my mom was always very high strung, and oh no, I did this, and of course it's me, and of course it would happen to me, and why is everything always my? And I'm like, so that's how I was for, a long time, because that's
Right.
how you're
Mm-hmm.
raised. And then now I'm like, oh, the dog ate my bagel by accident. Like, he jumped on the counter and got it. He's a puppy. Whoops. I guess I'll make a new one. Like, but my mom, like, it. This is a true story. It happened to my mom the one morning, and she just, yeah, she lost it. Oh my gosh, and the puppy, and I'm just like, so make a new one.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
problem
Right.
solved. Yes, it's a puppy, and yes, he needs to train, but it's already happened.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. And that's it. That's that same thing of going. So you were able to learn to pull yourself down
yes,
to watching her, and it's sometimes really hard to learn that, because it's the natural. It's like the brain just goes there because it's a pattern, and the brain is going to pick up where
yeah,
to go from where you've been, because that's what you're used to. It's the default position. You're going to default to there. And it
exactly.
took me a long time to learn how to
Yeah.
change that default.
Yes, so much therapy for me.
Yeah, 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 me too. I understand it. So, yeah,
So, as an adult now, what's a good strategy that you use?
My husband has a favorite one. We have a cat. We've always had cats, and we pet the kitty. It's called- because if I would get nervous, he'd pick up the cat, and he'd go pet the kitty, pet the kitty. And there is something really connected
There
to
is.
petting animals that really bring that
Yes.
energy to a
Yeah.
different place, doesn't it?
Well, and kitties, when they start to purr, I just love their purr.
Right, right. So one of my therapy techniques for clients is pet the kitty. You have five? Oh, wow. Oh,
Actually, the kitten, the baby kitty, who I kept saying we are not adopting, we're not adopting, we're not adopting. But then I couldn't let her go to the Humane Society when all of her siblings got adopted. So I said, fine, she's coming into my house.
oh,
Um, she finally turned 1. She's now 1 year old, and I've been helping take care. Well,
oh,
I helped take care of her since she was like 3 weeks old. So I'm like, you were this tiny little sweet
oh,
little.
how sweet.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
oh, I love them.
yeah,
Cats
but
are special.
yeah.
I had 4 at one point. They really are special.
Well, 4 was the cap. I'm like, we are not getting another one. But last year, a girl from my work, she found a cat who had just given birth to kittens, so she was taking care of them. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll help take care of them because I love them. And I was like, I am not adopting one. I am not. I have enough. But then every other one got adopted, so they were either going to post it on Facebook for somebody saying free kitten, which that's danger, or to the Humane
Yeah.
Society. I'm like, no, I can't do that to her. So she came home with me.
Ah. And
My
I'm sure it
husband
fits
says
in
I
very well
plotted
with the
all
others.
along. She does
Oh.
now. Yes, she very much does. Yeah. Anyways, I get sidetracked when I talk about animals because they're just so cute.
I know, I know. But they are calming. They are calming, and I think
Yes.
they bring us to live in the moment, and that helps a lot.
Yeah, exactly. No matter what they are, whether they're cats, which are my favorite, but dogs, I got some of those. Horses, I mean, some people like have their bunnies and stuff, but I ride horses and I just, when I go to the barn, so we have how many horses are there? 9? I don't know. Something like that. I have to actually
Oh
count. But
wow.
I go and I say hi to each one and I go around. And of course, I have my favorite, so I have to go back to him. And I
Yeah,
go back
yeah.
to him and I give him extra loves.
Oh.
Um, but they're just, I love just brushing. I find it so soothing just to brush them off.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's
But
good
yeah,
for
that's
them. It's
definitely
good
a
for you.
nice way. Exactly. It's a
Yeah.
win-win.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Mhm.
what if people are allergic or they can't have an animal for some reason, what would be another good strategy?
Yeah, I think for me it's a lot of, and what I'll teach people would more be just different breathing techniques, different types of
Mm-hmm.
meditation, yoga, listening to music, anything that brings you down from where you are. But something I should just say though is just not acknowledge that you've got this. And don't say I shouldn't be anxious. I shouldn't, because, like I said, their emotions, their feelings, they're there. They're real. Some of them are chemical. Some of them are stress related. Some of them it's a mix. So if you try to tell yourself I don't have this or I don't want this, you're not going to get anywhere. So
Yeah.
it's better to just say, yeah, I do have this, and I'm going to work on coping with this. So allow yourself the
Mm-hmm.
time
Mm-hmm.
to worry, to do whatever. Or there's like a 5 minute rule or 15 minute rule. Okay, I will for 15 minutes. I will think about this. I will worry about it. And bring it down to 10 minutes, then 5 minutes. It's like, okay, I can shut, this is here, and I'll allow myself different times of the day to maybe worry about it and then pull myself out of it. So that you're giving yourself that chance to look at it. And at the same time, learning new skills and some self-talk to say, okay, let's see what I can do. What are the options? Because I think for anxiety, people with anxiety, I think exploring options is really always helpful. What if,
Mm-hmm.
that could happen, this could happen, that's fine. But it's like, all right, let me explore things. Let me explore if I take this route, if that happens, if I take this route. Um, there's ways of knowing, here's my outs, or here's my ways of coping, and I've got a few of them that I need to explore, as opposed to somebody saying, well, just don't think about it, especially if it's a situational thing. If you tell somebody don't think about it, forget it. So it's okay to think about
You're
it,
gonna think about it
but
more.
you're going to think about it more. Allow that, but also just say,
Yeah.
okay, here's some options I can do given the situation, and then let go, and not let go, but put it aside enough for a while, because it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still there. But it's,
Yeah.
yeah, and just sort of self-talk a lot of time. I can manage this. I do have more control than I thought I had. And
Yeah.
recognizing and feeling that empowerment. Okay, this is a tough situation, but I'm going to find my ways of coping with it. And I'll work with clients on whatever that particular worry is. What are the coping skills they do have, or what are the ones they can develop to
Yes.
move them out of that and cope better.
Okay. I just had a little flashback from one of my therapy sessions. Well, multiple, but when you were saying the self talk, we did a lot around my PTSD and changing the way I was thinking about stuff and how my brain was talking to me about these situations. So when you said that there, I was like, oh, yeah,
Right.
that's exactly what we did. And it worked.
Right. Right. Very similar treatments, I think, for some of the anxiety and PTSD, because PTSD has a lot of anxiety components of it. And how do I
Yes.
change that situation? Exactly. Exactly. And the techniques do work. It sometimes needs
Right?
a lot of practice, but the techniques do
Yes.
work.
Yeah, so much practice and like I
Hmm.
said, so much therapy, but like it's all about that practice and coming back and yeah, sometimes stopping and going, okay, I feel this right now. It's okay. And I'm gonna go past it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And like I said, it does take time. It does take practice. Distraction's
Mm-hmm.
another one. Anything you can distract yourself with. Um,
Yes.
I yeah, anything. It could be creative, or it could be taking a walk, or it could be enjoying nature, playing with the animals, the
Love
horses,
nature.
anything, right?
Yes.
Any art work, anything that you can do that could take away from that also helps, because it just allows you to free the mind up and put the focus elsewhere.
Yeah. Love that so much. Um, I know I kind of got us off track, but is there any other parts of your story or anything else that you feel that you need to share right now for the show?
Um, I think from the idea of coping with emotions, and controlling and just dealing with them in general, um, for me, evolving as the writer,
Mm.
having the background, I think both personally dealing with some of those emotions, and also professionally, having that background really makes me look at how I write people and putting them in tough situations, because I
Yes.
like to challenge the characters, and I want to see how they're going to evolve with the challenge. And those are just life lessons. What I think the whole thing is that a lot of times with any mental health issues, we tend to feel like we're alone, even though we know a lot of people may have the same things. There's a part of us that says, I'm alone in this. And there's still a feeling of stigma, even in today's day and age. And I can't talk to
Yeah.
anybody about this. And I
Right.
think writing and telling some of these stories through writing is also a way of people learning. They're not alone with these, that they can relate. And it's
Yes.
another avenue when you write of sharing these stories, and people maybe seeing themselves through some of those characters,
Right.
and how
And
the
that's one of
characters
the
may have worked through
yeah.
something.
Right, that's one of the things that makes a book a great book is when you connect with the character, then there's that development and the growth, and maybe even you learn something. That's what makes a book more than a book.
I agree. I agree. There's that more than that, and there's a resilience. I think when you talked about the growth and the sharing, that there is an ability to, this is a tough situation. What can I do, as tough as it is, to move forward,
Mm-hmm.
and see how a character makes a choice to do that. In one of my stories, I talked about the polio before. I mean, it was real. It was tough
Yes.
stuff going back then. I
Oh,
mean, people were in
yeah.
these lungs, these iron lungs. They struggled. So what I did is, I had one of the little girls in the book have polio, which is what really did happen to a classmate. And
Oh, wow.
her friend Kate, who is the lead character in the book, was so mad that her friend got this. She was furious at the world, at God, at everything. How dare my friend get this? She's such a good girl. Why is she getting this? And after the little girl who had the polio got better. I mean, she still had a limp. She still had some problems and everything. But Kate talked to her again, and little Ruthie just says, "Well, I'm still here, aren't I? I mean, I walk with a limp and everything, and I have some problems, but I can still get around okay, and we're still here, and you're my friend." So, from the
Mm.
mouths of babes, that sometimes we
Yeah.
see someone just be like, she looked at life from that different perspective of not, I mean, yeah, you grieve the losses, but she moved forward.
Yes.
So again, there's that resilience, and the movement forward from it, and the life lessons that we get,
Mm,
you know.
I love that. Um, so, and I think we've kind of already answered this question, but I always like to end this portion of the interview with a question. So I'm trying to think of a different way to word it. What
Okay.
piece of wisdom, because I always like the word wisdom, would you give somebody who has always been very high strung?
acknowledge that this is a part of who you are. And also that you are more than that. And you can work on changing or altering some of that level of intensity. And it's like, I'm not too technical, but I'm sort of thinking of a gauge that you're sort of turning down or adjusting in yourself, be it on,
Okay,
you
yeah.
can, okay, and you can fine tune that by finding different techniques. That could be therapy, it could be a variety of different skills that you learn to back away from that, and figure out what those tools are. There's a thing that we use when I used to teach dialectical behavior therapy. It's a form of therapy, and where you can create a box, a self-soothing box, and you could have the fun things in it that you want. It could be a piece of cloth or fur that you pet. It could be music in there that you listen to. It could be something, chocolates or sweets or whatever you like, that at various different times you can have this box that you go to and even say, this is the one thing that might work then. Or even have a box in the car. I say in the glove compartment, you can have a tiny little box of keep you little things that you might like that might be able, this works for PTSD, I think, to some degree too, when you're feeling some of those feelings. And just, this is my way and my self-soother to bring me back. It's, again, it's work, as we both know. It's very hard. And
Yes. Yeah.
just to control it better, just to manage it better, because it can be managed. It's a default position. Know that that's where you're going to go. And then you start working to tune it back with all little skills in your little toolkit that can be helpful.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Um, Now I know you haven't mentioned your book yet, but like you've mentioned how you've written and such. So tell us what book are you promoting right now?
This is All the Broken Angels, and it takes place from starting in the early 1950s to and goes to the 1970s, and it really tells the story of two cousins growing up together through a ever-changing world of the 1960s, and how life impacts them and their family, especially as we enter the women's rights movement and the Vietnam War, civil rights, the birth of LGBTQ, and just how the world plays a part in what's going on with them. And the boy in the book, Albie, all wants to go to war. He's just gung-ho G.I. Joe, and Kate is a firm believer this is not the war to be going into. And it causes a divide between the two of them in the same way that we had a divide in the country. But it also, being a psychologist who worked with Vietnam veterans and PTSD, it also looks at the veterans returning home and the impact that, it wasn't even called PTSD back then, the impact of those symptoms coming home, how they were treated, and how long it took to be able to recognize these symptoms were actually given a name called PTSD. So it examines how our society evolved through this time period, how the mental health world evolved through recognizing a diagnosis, how the women evolved during that time, and just the changes in our society. So it covers a lot of topics.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a lot of stuff.
but yeah, yeah. It took my co-author and I, it took us really some time to really piece it all together, but we really wanted to capture a sort of topsy-turvy world and sort of managing your way through it. And it really is all about resilience
Yeah.
for them, because tragedy happens, and the character's got to figure out, how do I manage and move forward when there's severe, and this family, how do we manage and move forward since there's been such pain in our lives? How do we go through this, and
Yeah.
what can we do to help others through this, and what does this mean to us personally and to our society? And how we cope.
Mm-hmm. And what was it called again? One more time.
All the Broken Angels.
All the Broken. I like that title. That's pretty.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And where do people pick up a copy of it?
it's available on Amazon, as well as all other online retailers. It's Amazon Unlimited right now, and the ebook is even on sale for $2.99. So folks can grab
Oh,
that
well,
there.
perfect time.
And it is perfect timing. So yeah, it's pretty much available anywhere. And,
Excellent. And where do people follow you?
they can follow me at patblackgould.com. They can catch me there and on Amazon, but that's my website, patblackgould.com. You can also find me on Pat Black-Gould Author, on Instagram, and on Facebook, and on LinkedIn. So a couple of different sources. And feel free to just write me an email on my website and say hello.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. This was really fun being on the production here. Appreciate it.
And remember, everybody, the only way to end the stigma of mental health is to speak openly and honestly. Bye!
Very true.